SABC, host broadcaster of the G20 South Africa 2025.
Welcome back to the G20 Social Summit here in South Africa, which is one of the major summits that is held in the run-up to the Leaders Summit that is happening this coming Saturday and Sunday. And there's a lot that's going to happen here, a lot of discussions, and hopefully a communique is going to be sent over to the Leaders Summit, which is going to be discussed. Now, one of the important aspects is that there are a lot of different organizations that are involved in this, and one of them is the C20 Summit. Now, the C20 Summit, which took place ahead of the G20 Social Summit, produced a set of civil society demands, policy positions and recommendations basically addressing inequality, food security, climate justice, AI governance, debt sustainability, and inclusive economic growth. So had to read those because it was a lot that went into these discussions. Thulani Tshefuta is with us here. He, of course, is the chairperson of the C20 Civil Society 20. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you very much for being with us here on the program.
Good morning, and to the viewers, Leanne.
This is a big moment for you. I mean, this is a lot that has been discussed. You walk into here armed with a list of issues that certainly civil society want to convey. Talk to us about the process leading up to this.
Most certainly, when South Africa took over the presidency of G20 from Brazil, it promised to lead a people-centered G20. And one of the ways of giving practical meaning to a people-centered G20 was the establishment of various engagement groups. As in, you would have civil society organized under C20, you would have youth organized under Y20, business under B20, and so on. And that is born out of the appreciation that governments on their own do not hold the monopoly of wisdom to address and resolve all the challenges of the people in the world. We need collaborations, we need partnerships between governments, civil society and business in order to address those problems. And so, as civil society, we come in here after having led a protracted process of engagement where we mobilized more than 3,000 civil society organizations from South Africa, Africa, the Global South, and the world to inform the policy priorities that you just read out now.
Which is imperative, and there's something I read which I absolutely love because I feel that this encapsulates exactly what it is that's going to happen here today. Civil society is the conscience of the G20 Summit. Do you agree with this? Because that for me, it almost feels like it wraps up what's going to happen here. This is the conscience, and we need to send it to the leaders.
Most certainly. Governments of the world have now embraced the fact that they want to be evidence-led or evidence-based in their decision-making for policies. One of the empirical ways of extrapolating that evidence is through lived experiences of the citizens. And so we represent that voice. We give the governments a policy package that represents the plight of the people so that they do not miss the point and address perceived challenges of the people, but address the actual and the real needs of the people. After all is said and done, ours is about producing a G20 outcome that promotes and builds and creates public value. And public value is only about placing people at the center of all developments.
Yeah, I mean, the C20 is one of the most, I suppose, influential bodies globally, which is incredibly important when it comes to what we're discussing. My question to you is, what does meaningful civil society actually look like? Not being invited to just sit in the room. What does it look like?
Meaningful engagement with civil society means that you are given an opportunity, you are given space to raise your issues. Meaningful engagement with civil society means that you are not just engaged on how pretty a face you are, how nice a jacket you wear, but all that we are calling for is that governments of the world must engage us on the strength of the ideas that we present in our policy proposals.
Yeah.
Meaningful engagement for us does not only end with us being listened to. It means we must be heard. Upon being heard, it means there must be actions that follow the agreements that we reach.
And participation. I think that for me is the most important thing, is that yes, you can put everything you want to put forward, but you need to participate in this as well. So what I want to ask you is, through all of your engagements, through everything that has been done, I mean, the C20 Summit, for instance, this was a major precursor to this social summit we are at the moment. From your perspective, from speaking to people, what were the strongest outcomes for you and the messages that you want to deliver here?
One of the biggest messages that people can relate to has to do with education and health. It is the general view of the people and civil society in general that education and health are two most important public services whose access to quality services must never depend on your social status in society. They must never depend on your level of affordability. They must be provided in such a way that access, reach, and scale are able to reach everyone wherever they may be. Secondly, the issue of public employment, including employment that is generated by the public sector, is the second biggest issue which people want a claim on. With that, the people are saying they do not want to be passive beneficiaries of what governments deliver, but they want to be meaningful participants in the economy and the labor market such that they become active citizens at the end.
So at the end of the day, what we're hoping is achieved here over the next 3 days is where civil society declarations are actually consolidated into one communique. That's the big idea here. And I suppose my question to you is, how will the C20 ensure that its recommendations remain strong and they're not watered down through negotiations?
Here is the trick, Leanne, that the level of influence does not start now.
No.
From when we started the processes of G20, we had our own working groups as civil society, and there were working groups of government. From time to time, we would meet with them. Already on the outcome statements of some of the working groups of government, we can see the influence we have exerted.
Fantastic.
Secondly, we have also met with the Sherpas of all G20 countries from time to time, and we can see the direction they are taking in line with the proposals that we have made. After all, I can confirm that there has been some convergence from civil society organizations about issues of priority that must inform the outcome statement, which is the declaration that will come out of here. And we are happy with the substance of the issues that will be handed over to the governments on day 3 of this summit.
This is obviously a first. We keep on emphasizing it, and I don't think we can emphasize it enough. First time in the African continent, first time that South Africa is hosting this. And perhaps new issues that are being brought to the table, because every country, every continent comes with its same issues. You've been talking to all of the G20 nations. The similarities that you hear from civil society, do you find that they overlap? That there are those pressing issues you spoke about, particularly access to healthcare, access to education, employment. Are these are things we struggle with, but are they things that, in terms of the G20 nations and the civil societies there, is this the voice that's the loudest?
Most certainly, yes. Civil society seems to be at one in their mind and spirit about what is the agenda that we need to drive. Yeah. Most interestingly, we can also confirm that even civil societies from some of the countries that may have this or that other difference with the mainstream G20 countries, they've been actively participating in our C20 processes, making meaningful contributions, up to a point where, including civil society organizations of presidents and governments that may have said they are not going to attend the South African G20, have been actively participating, making contributions to show cause that this is an agenda that represents the plight of the people. It is not about a country, it is not about a region, but it is about the experiences of what people are living.
Final question to you very quickly as I wrap up and we go to the news. For you, what does success look like for the C20 when the G20 Summit leaders meet and discuss this?
Success for us will mean that governments do not get into that room and massage their egos. Government must get into that room and address the plight of the people. Success for us is not the outcome statement as the declaration that they will all agree on, because there's a lot of diplomacy behind that. Success for us is defined through actions that will follow to give meaning to the declaration that will be signed. And that action must start now through legacy projects that people can identify with and say, through hosting G20 in South Africa, we can see the actions that follow that.
Thank you for talking to us. Good luck. Good luck. Let those voices be heard. As we say, the conscience of the G20. This, of course, is the social summit that's taking place, where the grievances of all civil society are brought forth. And this, of course, is what's going to be handed over to the leaders to discuss. And as we heard from my guest here, Thulani, let's not massage egos when the leaders meet. Let's ensure that action is the outcome. Thanks again for joining us here on the program. It's 8 o'clock. Let's hand us back to Sakina for our main news bulletin.